You could still play Lotus Field here. We're playing the brand new Pioneer Lotus Field Combo featuring Flow State and Flashback. Let's go check it out. In front of you is Pioneer Lotus Field Combo featuring two new cards, and they are Flow State, which is a card that's making waves in almost every format right now, and then Flashback, a card that I have admittedly not loved in Modern, but I think is actually going to be very, very good here in Pioneer. So if you saw my last Lotus Field Combo video, which you can find in the card above, that was at the beginning of 2026, so we're about 4 months later, and that was a build featuring green. We're not playing that build today, but I actually do still love that build. It's just that I wanted to try some new cards today. So I think there's two very competitive builds of Lotus Field Combo, and I'm just playing the other one. I still think that list is completely viable, and I would probably play it again in the future. I would also play this one again in the future. They're just two different decks. And today we're playing a build. Well, actually, both builds work the same way. You're really looking to get that Lotus Field. This is the namesake of the deck and the key card of the deck. You need it in order to function. So this is a land that taps for 3 mana of any one color, and then ideally you would copy it with Thespian Stage, so that way you have 2 copies of Lotus Field. From there you can generate mana using Vizier of Tumbling Sands and Hidden Strings. These will allow you to generate a ton of mana, and then eventually you'll start drawing cards with things like Pore Over the Pages or finding more card advantage using Stock Up and Flow State. Alright, well this deck actually has a unique aspect to it, which is Artist Talent. This is not in the green builds, it's only in this Izzet build. It's the primary reason to be playing red. And if you have Artist Talent, you can actually win with just 1 copy of Lotus Field. That's all you need. In the green build, you have to have 2. Either a Thespian Stage or Lotus Field or double Lotus Field. With a leveled up Artist Talent, you only need the 1. And from there you can just draw your entire deck, and then eventually how this build wins is you play Wish into your sideboard copy of Thassa's Oracle. So after you draw your entire library, Thassa's Oracle gets the job done. So the other build wins using Peer into the Abyss or the land, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Layer of the Hydra. There we go. It just took me a second. This build actually has a dedicated win condition. So they actually are just different decks. They both just happen to play Lotus Field and Hidden Strings. And I think that having Flow State and Flashback are going to be huge upgrades. Flow State is significantly better than Sleight of Hand, and Flashback actually gives you more access to Hidden Strings, which is always a choke point of this build. I actually thought about playing 3 Flashback, but the fact is if you don't have a Hidden Strings in the graveyard already, you really don't want this card, so I think 2 is a good number. That's my deck tech. I realize that I'm going against the grain a little bit. Right now, if you look at MTG Goldfish, people that play Pioneer, it's a very small number. It's probably smaller than Vintage right now due to Wizards of the Coast not supporting the format, and people are choosing to not run Stock Up for some reason. I think that's bananas. So I think that they're wrong. Nothing against those individuals, but I think that you should be playing both Flow State and Stock Up. So that's what I'm doing today. They're choosing to run other cards. More power to them. Some of the cards that they're choosing to play are like Divide by 0, and then they play a huge Lesson sideboard. We're not playing a big Lesson sideboard today, although we are playing 4 copies of Boomerang Basics, which happens to be a Lesson. So I'm playing 4 into the Floodmaw in the main deck, 4 Boomerang Basics in the sideboard. Why would I choose to do that? So if you actually look at the Pioneer metagame, there's a number of decks that board in High Noon. And previously I was playing something like Brotherhood's End, because against a deck like, I don't know, the Selesnya Company deck that happens to run main deck Thalia of I'm sorry, I just went to go combine 2 cards there. Main deck Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and Archon of Emeria, you need more things to answer them. That said, they have ways to pump up their creatures in that deck, and they're boarding into High Noons. So you don't want to be sitting on a Brotherhood's End when they're playing a High Noon, or if they pump up their Archon of Emeria once, the Brotherhood's End no longer answers it. So I'm not interested in playing Brotherhood's End anymore, and I think just having 8 of this bounce effect is ideally what we want. So that's why I'm choosing to play Boomerang Basics. The most popular deck in Pioneer after the ban of the Prowess creature is actually the Golgari deck. And the Golgari deck boards up to 9 discard spells, meaning that Leyline of Sanctity is pretty good. We want Mystical Dispute for those pesky blue decks. And then, as I mentioned, our win condition is Thassa's Oracle. If you need Wish in order to create card advantage, I have the 4th copy of Stock Up. And then this is really the one luxury slot in the deck list, I think. It's a Leer Disciple of the Drowned, which when you get super far ahead with mana, you can play Wish into Leer and then just cast your entire graveyard. So that's my long-winded deck tech. It was a little bit rambly, but hopefully you appreciate it. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. But for now, we're going to go play some Magic, and hopefully I get another 5-0 just like that previous video. I'll see you in match number 1. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicsforum.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicsforum.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to round number 1. We're on the draw and our opponent has revealed a Yorion Sky Nomad. We'll keep. Having the Lotus Field card in our hand is quite good. Okay. Everyone Thoughtseize, not very kind, but, you know, we'll live. They take Flashback. Interesting. I thought it was going to be Wish. We'll play the Riverglide Pathway and pass the turn. They play another land. This might just be like an Orzhov mid-range deck, who really knows. We'll play the Spirebluff Canal, and you might be saying, why not play the Ottawara Soaring City, because they don't know about the Spirebluff Canal. While that is true, I would like to keep around the Ottawara Soaring City as long as possible, because if they happen to have a main deck Archon of Emeria or something like that, I want the ability to answer it. And them knowing that I drew a land is not the end of the world. Necromentia main deck? Wow! Insane! Oh, they named Storm Chaser's talent. Wow. They could have just exiled all of my Lotus Fields. I feel like we just got away with murder. They're saying in the chat, oh, I should have named Lotus. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you saw double Lotus Field in my hand off the Thoughtseize. We'll play the Lotus Field. Pass the turn. Main deck Necromentia is bananas to me. They put Yorion to their hand. We draw another Pore Over the Pages. We'll begin by cycling the Vizier. Once again, if I don't have to play the Ottawara Soaring City, I really don't want to. So if I could draw another land here, I'd be interested in playing that. Like this Thespian Stage. Okay. Let's play Pore Over the Pages. Untap, untap. We'll get rid of Expedition Map. And I think I would like to copy right now, which might seem a little bit nuts because I'm wasting the blue mana I could theoretically use for Into the Floodmaw. But if our opponent is playing, and I'm going to blank on the card name here, the Field of the Dead, not Field of the Dead, the land where you pay 2 and sacrifice it and destroy a non-basic and each player gets a basic. Field of Ruin? I think it's Field of Ruin. They have successfully played a Yorion Sky Nomad. I should have lost this game, I think, but I didn't, and now we get to win. We'll begin with Pore Over the Pages. And after thinking about it, the opponent just concedes to the Pore Over the Pages. Okay. A little surprised by that. We'll bring in Leyline of Sanctity. I'm likely going to board down to 2 Expedition Map. This is a slower matchup, so having a little bit more time to find them is acceptable. And then I'm going to board out the Flashbacks. Or actually, they're a discard deck. I probably need them. We'll board out... Maybe I'll go down to 2 Into the Floodmaw. We'll try this. So a lot of lists right now looking at MTG Goldfish only play the 2 copies of Expedition Map. I'm choosing to play 4 today, but I acknowledged in my own deck building that I would end up boarding a couple out, especially in slower matchups like this where I feel like it's more acceptable. So yeah, you could play 2 main deck Expedition Map, but I like 4 because I think the most important thing about the deck is consistently finding your Lotus Fields. So that is a decision I'm choosing to make. And then in the sideboarding here, Leyline of Sanctity stops Thoughtseize, but it also stops Necromentia or Go Blank, Duress, things like that. So Leyline is actually one of our most valuable cards in this matchup. How much do you believe? Because we have Leyline of Sanctity in 1 land. If I draw any other land in the deck, we can cast Artist Talent. They're playing a really slow deck. I'm kind of tempted. I'm going to do this for the science. We're going to keep this. And if I draw a blue land, I can play Consider too. So there's a lot to like here. And they just skipped their first turn. We'll play our land. Whoops. Pass the turn. I did not draw land on turn 1. They have a concealed courtyard. Please be their deck. Blue mana source. Okay, I mean, it's not a land, but if I was going to draw a non-land, I probably would have picked Expedition Map. They have land number 2. They fracture on my Expedition Map. Not very nice, but I get it. Hey, we hit the land. Let's go. Artist Talent. And we will pass the turn. Charming Prince. Okay. They kept 2 cards on top, and it looks like they're going to miss their land drop here. Vizier. We'll play Consider. Trigger. And I think I'm actually going to get rid of a Pore Over the Pages in this spot, which might seem crazy, but I'm so far away from using both of them. We draw a Flow State, keep the land. This actually allows me to Flow State for both modes here, too. We'll get rid of the Vizier. Draw into Hidden Strings. Oh, this game's over. This game is over. We'll take Lotus Field plus stock up. Pass the turn. They have a Concealed Courtyard, and now they swing. Treacherous Blessing. I don't care about that. Okay. We are going to attempt to win the game now. So I'm going to float some mana. We'll play Lotus Field. Sacrifice our lands. I will now Hidden Strings to untap both lands. Discard the Thespian Stage. We will level up the Lotus Field. Or, I'm sorry, level up the Artist Talent. And now Hidden Strings only cost 1 mana. Discard the land. Now we can play Pore Over the Pages. Discard Lotus Field. Untap, untap, discard a land. We'll cycle the Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Untap Lotus Field. And there's the Wish, which allows me to play Leer, Disciple of the Drowned from the sideboard. But I can play stock up here for 2 mana, so I'll do that in the meantime. We'll get rid of Thespian Stage. We draw into another land. We'll take Flow State and Flashback. We'll play Flow State for 1 mana. This Flow State only costs 1 mana. It gets to loot a card, and it gets 2 cards off of it. Fairly good. We'll take Into the Floodmaw and Artist Talent. Float some mana here. We'll play Hidden Strings. Discard and Into the Floodmaw. We'll tap Lotus Field for red. Let's play another Artist Talent, so that way I can loot a little bit more. We'll get rid of the Otawara Soaring City. And now I'll play Flashback, target Hidden Strings. We get to loot twice now. Goodbye Leyline of Sanctity and Steam Vents. We'll play Hidden Strings, discard a land, and another land, Hidden Strings. So I can play Leer with no mana floating right now, which just isn't good enough. So I'll play stock up. We'll get rid of Into the Floodmaw and Lotus Field. Another Flow State's a good draw. Pore Over the Pages and Hidden Strings. We're down to 20 cards. I think realistically I don't even need to Leer Disciple of the Drowned. I can just draw the rest of my deck and then play Thassa's Oracle. Untap, untap, discard Thespian Stage. 15 cards left in deck. We'll cycle Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Untap Lotus Field. We'll play Flow State. Discard Leyline. Discard Lotus Field. We'll take Pore Over the Pages and Consider. 10 cards left in deck. We'll play Pore Over the Pages. Discard Artist Talent. And Consider. Untap, untap. Discard a land. 5 cards left in deck. I suppose I can cycle a Vizier here. This will bring me down to 4 cards left in deck. We'll tap the Lotus Field for blue. I will play Wish for 2 mana. Discard Artist Talent. Discard Thespian Stage. I'll play Hidden Strings. Discard. Discard. And now we have no library left. Yes, yes. We'll now play the Thassa's Oracle and win the match. And just like that, we're 1-0 to start off this Pioneer League. Packs.com is the new way to open your favorite cards. It's a site where you open digital packs of trading cards like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, and One Piece cards, and have the cards you open mailed quickly and securely to you. With a wide range of packs to choose from, such as the latest Magic sets, Kaladesh Inventions, or even Beta. I'm going to open a Beta pack. What's great about Packs.com is you can see all of the cards and their odds of being opened in each pack. Now it's time to open one and see what I get. Come on, Black Lotus! If you don't like what you opened, you could sell it back instantly for more packs, or sell it and pick a specific card from the marketplace over at packs.com/market. If you want to check out packs.com, make sure to click the link in the description of this video and use code STORM5 when making a purchase for 5% extra on your first purchase. Round number 2, we're on the play. This seems fine, I'll keep. We have turn 1 Expedition Map, turn 2 Talent, turn 3 Level Up. You could also save the expedition map for a trigger. I don't know if that's the best move, but it's something you could do. We'll play Spire Bluff Canal and expedition map. Pass. Lush Portico. Underground Mort. So this is probably Abzan Greasefang. We'll play our land. Just go grab the Lotus Field now. Pass the turn. So next turn I can play Artist Talent and Lotus Field. They Witherbloom Command. They hit Parhelion. That's disgusting. Okay. That is not good for me. They returned Underground Mortuary and not a third untap land. So maybe if they don't have the Greasefang, I'll be okay. We'll play Artist Talent. And then Lotus Field. Pray that I'm not dead. Pass the turn. If they have the Greasefang this turn, I don't think I can win. If I drew exactly Hidden Strings, I could, but Formidable Speaker. So they have to take a turn off here. That's a good sign. So Parhelion makes... Well, maybe I should have thought about this before playing my land. Whoops. Yeah, I think I should have thought about this before playing my land. Because if I wasn't going to... I could just copy Lotus Field this turn, so this is a punt. So this attacks for 13, 14, 15. I'm not dead. So let's level up the Artist Talent. Pass the turn. We have an Underground Mortuary. Gets rid of a Blooming Marsh. And the Greasefang. Okay. I think I really did mess up, though. I should have played Thespian Stage and copied. I was considering Wish and a Boomerang Basics, but then I realized I didn't need to do that. They did not crew or attack. Interesting. We'll play the Thespian Stage. Pore Over the Pages, trigger. Discard the land. Hidden Strings, here we go. Discard a land. Copy the Lotus Field. So even though I played poorly, I think we're still going to win. Hidden Strings. Discard Steam Vents. Yes, yes. We'll play Flow State. Discard Into the Floodmaw. Take Pore Over the Pages and Artist Talent. We'll play Spire Bluff Canal and another Artist Talent. We'll play Pore Over the Pages. Discard Flashback. Discard Vizier. Untap, untap. Discard a land. We'll play another Artist Talent. Discard Thespian Stage. Discard Hidden Strings. Artist Talent. We'll cycle Vizier. Untap Lotus Field. We'll level up another Artist Talent. And then play Stock Up. We'll get rid of a Hidden Strings here because I don't need that much mana. We'll take 2 Considers. Play Hidden Strings. Discard Artist Talent. Land. Land. 23 cards left in deck. We'll play Flow State. Get rid of a Consider. Land. Land. Flow State. We'll take Vizier and Lotus Field. Cycle a Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Untap. 18 cards left in deck. Cycle another Vizier. Play Consider. Discard. 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 Expedition Map is actually better than a Consider here because it's a free spell to draw cards. We'll play Pore Over the Pages. Discard. Consider. Expedition Map. Into the Floodmaw. Untap, untap. Discard. Into the Floodmaw. We'll play Wish. Discard Expedition Map. Discard Into the Floodmaw. Discard Pore Over the Pages. 3 cards left. Play Flow State. No. No. We'll get rid of Flashback and draw 1. We'll put both of these to my hand. And now we'll play Thassa's Oracle. Okay, we've taken game number 1 from Greasefang. We'll bring in Leyline to Sanctity. 2 Expedition Maps and 2 Considers. Or should it just be 4 Consider? Maybe it should be 4 Consider. This is a really fast matchup, and finding Lotus Field is pretty important. Let's try this. Game number 2. We're on the draw, and I've opened up Leyline to Sanctity, Lotus Field, Thespian Stage, and a Bounce spell. The only thing this hand is missing is action. So I think that this hand is pretty much a slam dunk. If you could replace the second Lotus Field with Pore Over the Pages, I think it would be ideal. We have Leyline. Our opponent took a mulligan to 4. They have Temple Garden. We'll play Spire Bluff Canal and pass. They play a Blooming Marsh. We draw Artist Talent. Okay. I suppose I'll play it here. It could get destroyed, but we'll see what happens. Like, they have Besage Who Endures. They have Witherbloom Command. I guess the downside here is one of the few ways I could lose from this spot is end step they like cash grab into Parhelion and then a Greasefang, which would be a lot of things going right for them because they're on 3 cards in hand. So it'd have to be cash grab, Greasefang, land, or the cash grab finds the land and the Parhelion. So It's within the realm of possibility, but maybe I should just hold up my mana is my point here. But they did not have an end step play. Okay. I guess I'll just play Lotus Field. If you weren't going to do anything last turn, you're not going to do something this turn. We will sacrifice our lands and pass the turn. And our opponent has conceded the match. I'll take it. We are now 2-0.
Building a new deck usually means getting hit with a dozen different shipping fees from a dozen different sellers. It adds up fast, and honestly, it's the worst part of buying cards. That's why I switched to Card Trader Zero. You shop their global marketplace, but instead of having every seller ship to you, they ship to Card Trader's hub first. Card Trader then packs everything into a single shipment for you, and it saves a small fortune on shipping fees. This package from Card Trader just arrived. These are 4 dark rituals that came from 4 different sellers, but they all arrived in one envelope, and every card was quality checked by the Card Trader team before it hit my door. Check out the link in the description to try Card Trader Zero's optimizer for yourself. Stop paying for multiple shipments and get just one.
Welcome to the third match. We're on the play. We will keep, play our land, pass the turn. Overgrown Tomb into nothing. Okay, end step consider. Get rid of the land. Vizier. Okay. We'll place by our Bluff Canal and pass. Mute a Vault. Badger Mole Cub. End step, let's bounce their land. We'll play Thespian Stage and stock up. Hopefully the stock up finds Lotus Field. It does. It also finds another Pore Over the Pages. So our best draw just became Hidden Strings. They play a forest. They swing. We'll play Lotus Field. Ability on the stack. We'll copy the Lotus Field. Pass the turn. They replay the Mutavault and a Graveyard Trespasser. Alright, let's try to win. We'll begin by cycling the Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untap the Lotus Field, a third Expedition map, not the best draw, Pore Over the Pages, untap, discard a land, we'll play Artist Talent, and then we'll level up the Artist Talent, play Otawara as my land for the turn, play Pore Over the Pages, auto yield, we'll get rid of an Expedition map, draw 3, untap 2, we'll discard another Expedition map, we'll play another Artist Talent, discard Expedition map. I'll float blue. We'll cycle Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Untap a Lotus Field. I'll play Flashback. Target Pore Over the Pages. We'll loot. Discard 2 lands. Now we Pore Over the Pages. Discard Into the Floodmaw. And Artist Talent. I think I would rather keep the Expedition map on the off case that I need to dig a little deeper for free. We're over 50% of the way through the deck and we have not found a Hidden Strings. But Flashback on the Pore Over the Pages was fairly good there. We'll play... Let's actually level up the other Artist Talent. And now we'll stock up for 1 mana. Discard a land. Discard the Expedition map. We'll take stock up and Into the Floodmaw. Cycle a Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Untap. There's a Hidden Strings. We'll play Hidden Strings. Discard Into the Floodmaw and Flashback. Let's play a win condition, I guess. Discard Consider. Discard a land. We'll level up the Artist Talent and then level up the other one. So now each spell will deal them 5. I'll say no, no. And then the Wizard token damage. Yes. And the opponent concedes. Nice. A little bit of wizardry there for you. We likely want the Leyline of Sanctities. And I will do 2 Expedition map and 2 Consider. Let's try this. This deck does play 3 main deck copies of Sheoldred the Apocalypse, which is a very difficult card for this deck to beat. So you actually do want all 4 Into the Floodmaw. In theory, you could look at bringing in Boomerang Basics, but we're already bringing in Leyline of Sanctity, and there's only so many slots you can actually afford to sideboard out. If you wanted to bring in Boomerang Basics, I think you're supposed to board out the Expedition maps. Game 2 on the draw. There's no Leyline, no Lotus Field. Our third land is a second Otawara. I think you're actually supposed to mulligan this, unfortunately. Alright, we'll keep. Bottom the Flashback. Against a heavy discard deck, this is not my favorite hand. They play an Urborg. No discard spell on turn 1. We'll play Steam Vents. Pass the turn. They have a Llanowar Wastes. Into Badger Mole Cub. Another stock up. We'll play the Artist Talent. Pass the turn. Another Badger Mole Cub. Okay. That's a lot of mana. Abrupt Decay on the Artist Talent. And now they swing. They have 4 cards remaining in their hand. Into the Floodmaw. I will cycle a Vizier here. Come on, Lotus Field. We'll play Consider. There we go. Play the Lotus Field. Pass the turn. They have another land. A third Badger Mole Cub. Okay. Brotherhood's End would be like the greatest card of all time right now, but I'm not playing it. I also wouldn't even board it in for this matchup if I was playing it. Okay, 2 cards remain. Damping Sphere. Ah, that's gross. Okay, I mean, I have the Flood Maw, but the problem is I have no other land right now. They'll attack for 4, I go to 14. Brutal. Pass. So I need to draw an untapped land that makes blue. And then I can cycle Vizier into Hidden String, stock up, and pray to get very lucky. But that did not happen. Okay. So seeing the Damping Sphere, I do wonder now if I actually want Boomerang Basics. Let's get rid of the ley lines. Boomerang Basics. I'll leave 1 Boomerang Basics in the board and we'll bring back in 1 Expedition map. I've changed my mind. I'm actually going to get rid of all of the Expedition maps. So if I'm not going to have Leyline of Sanctity in the deck, I want my deck to be very good against discard, which means leaning more on flow state and stock up. So I'm choosing to have all 4 Considers in, so that way I'm playing 10 instants, so that way flow state's easier to turn on. I think we'll keep this. It's kind of clunky. No, we should mulligan. I'm going to mulligan again. This hand is just so slow. Best hand we've seen, but I need to draw lands. Keep. Get rid of Artist Talent and a Hidden Strings. Thespian Stage, pass. They play a Mutavault. I did not rip land. We have to pass. Interesting. Your turn 2 plays attack with Mutavault. That's probably mean that they mulligan to Damping Sphere. We'll pass. Urborg. Graveyard Trespasser. I need that land. Nope. Brutal. Sheoldred the Apocalypse. This game's over. I did not draw the land in time. Yeah, alright. I mean, I could have kept the 6. I think the 7-card hand was like the best hand we saw. If this hand had drawn a land, it actually would have been better. The problem with the 7-card hand was that Flashback and Wish were essentially mulligans, and you were really leaning hard on Flow State. And if Flow State was hit by one of their 9 discard spells, or 8 discard spells, the hand just still did nothing. So I didn't really feel like that was a keep. Unfortunately, we just drew trash, and sometimes that happens. So we picked up our first loss, and we are now 2-1. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. I clearly did not learn my lesson last match. I am keeping a 1-land Lotus Field hand where we cannot cast Consider, but if you draw the land, you're so likely to win. So that's what we're going for here. They play Basic Mountain and Voldaren Epicure, so some sort of burn deck. Being on the draw in this matchup is not particularly good. I did not draw the land again. Clearly, I just love being punished. Novice Inspector, Lethal Demolition on my map. That actually doesn't matter as long as I draw the land. Why? Brutal. They play this Cosmo Grand Zenith from Edge of Eternities. We'll draw. No land again. I think it's too late at this point. Discard. Consider. They draw off the Clue token. And now they're going to use the Blood token. Discards a land. They play another land. And they attack for 4, so I'll go to 12. Please, deck, give me land. There we go. We'll pass and then play Consider on their end step. If I draw into the Flood Maw, it might be enough to buy me some time. So this attack puts me down to 8. Land number 5. They still have 3 cards in their hand. Another Zenith, okay. That's 6 damage next turn. They have 2 cards. I don't think I'm allowed to keep this Otawara. Oh, I could have swore I put it to... Oh, no, I did. And then we drew the other one. Okay. We'll play Otawara for turn and pass and hope that I'm not dead. What are the odds a deck with 6 power in play that's playing red can't deal me 2 damage here? With 2 effects in play that pump creatures. And it looks like that'll do. They're not trying to kill me here? Oh, no, okay. Sorry, when the trigger went on the stack, it said they were making knights. Now it's +1/+1 counters. Okay, next game. I'll get rid of Flashback. We'll bring in a couple copies of Boomerang Basics. Maybe shave a couple. Well, it's a fast matchup, so maybe you want the maps. I'm going to board down on 2 map. We'll try this. I think I could have won that if I had just drawn land 2 sooner, which seems to be the thing in this league, but I really do believe that both of those hands were keeps. Things just did not work out your way. So a lot of people have this like revisionist idea that like, oh, it didn't work, therefore it was wrong. I don't think that's true. And I think that will actually limit your ability to become better at this game. You can make the correct decision and still lose. Like, that is a real thing in Magic the Gathering. So keeping those hands where the upside of winning is so high, assuming you hit, is definitely worth it when the thing you need, you have 20 more of them in your deck. So like each turn you're over 30% to hit. Like, that's an incredible odd. So I think you're supposed to keep it. It just hasn't worked out so far. We'll keep. Play the Otawara Expedition map. Pass. They play a Novice Inspector. We'll play Steam Vents. Pass the turn. The Thespian stage was a fairly good draw for us. And now a Thraben Inspector. They attack for 1. I'll go to 17. End step. We'll use the Expedition map. Grab a Lotus Field. We'll play Consider. Get rid of the Thespian stage. We'll Boomerang Basics on the Novice Inspector, just to slow them down here. I still have a backup Boomerang Basics. And now we'll play Lotus Field. Pass the turn. They have land number 3. And now they play another Cosmo Grand Zenith into Ornithopter. Okay. And now a Venerated Loxodon. Oh my. Okay, Hidden Strings was an insane draw here. I can now try to do something. We'll cycle the Vizier, untap Lotus Field. Draw. We'll copy the Lotus Field. Hidden Strings. Yes, yes. Let's look at the sideboard. I'm pretty far away from Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. But I think I'm supposed to flow state and see what I hit. I only have 4 mana after, so Pore Over the Pages is not good enough. Boomerang Basics. None of these are really good enough. We'll take Otawara. I'm in a tough spot now. So I could bounce Venerated Loxodon and the Zenith. And then next turn they can attack me for like 7, maybe 10, but that's not lethal. The issue is that my hand doesn't do enough here. They play another Cosmo Grand Zenith, and they add another Ornithopter. Okay. They're going to make 2 more creatures. And now the Venerated Loxodon is back, and they swing for 6. We'll take a draw. Vizier technically keeps me alive, but I'm going to need more mana than that in order for this wish to do something that's going to actually win me the game. Well, that's certainly a good draw. Okay, so we'll play Pore Over the Pages. Untap, untap, discard Expedition map. Okay, so I currently have access to 9 mana, which is 1 short of Wish into Lear, replay my entire graveyard. So that's unfortunate. What I could do is play Artist Talent, level up Artist Talent, and that would leave me with 4 mana. Play Flow State for 1 mana. I'd have 3 mana left, and I would need to hit another Hidden Strings or another Vizier to go up to 4 plus Pore Over the Pages. Like, I'd be pretty far away. So part of me wonders, am I supposed to just Flow State and not play Artist Talent first? Because that leaves Pore Over the Pages being a good out. I think so. We'll play Flow State. Flow State and Consider. I don't think I need another Artist Talent. We'll play another Flow State. I'm trying to leave myself the ability to Pore Over the Pages, although I am not hitting any mana here. So he might just be dead in the water. Based on how this played out, I probably would have been better off playing the Artist Talent. But if I had hit Pore Over the Pages, then I'd look like a clown. So there was really no winning. We'll play Consider. Get rid of the land. Bummer. I think we're dead. Yep. Alright, so we are now 2-2. I'm interested in seeing the next few cards to see if playing out the Artist Talent would have actually had an impact. Stock up into Vizier. I don't know if I would have had enough mana, because I would have gone down to 5 mana. I'm sorry. I would have had 9 mana, minus 5 for the Artist Talent. Flow State would have brought me down to 3. Flow State would have brought me down to 2. And that means I can't play the stock up, but maybe I hit deep enough to hit the Vizier into stock up. Like, that might have been a possibility. In hindsight, that would have been the line. But I just didn't know if I was going to hit Pore Over the Pages, which was a difficult decision on my part. So we lost. It's unfortunate. We're now back down to 2-2 after our hot start. Let's see if we can finish this with a positive record in match number 5. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. The final round, let's get this one. We are on the play. Yeah, keep. We'll play Spirebluff Canal into Expedition Map. Pass the turn. They play Darkslick Shores into Thoughtseize. They take Artist Talent. We'll play Otawara. Pass the turn. Very Miscreant. Okay. And now a Mockingbird. This should draw them a card, I believe. We'll grab a Lotus Field. And they do draw a card. We'll play Flow State. Grab another Pore Over the Pages. I was hoping for another land there. Or a Thespian Stage. And we will pass the turn. They play a Mutavault and another Thoughtseize. They take one of the 2 copies of Pore Over the Pages. Now they attack. I suppose we'll play Artist Talent. Pass the turn. I mean, this was not a bad draw. I can level it up next turn, and then on the following turn, I can try to do something to win. If I draw an untapped land, I can also try to win next turn. They swing. We'll go to 16. They play another Mockingbird, which should draw another card off of the Fairy Miscreant. We'll level up the Artist Talent. Play Expedition Map for free. Trigger the Artist Talent. Discard the Flashback. And we did hit a land. We'll play our land. Pass the turn. They attack for 3. I'll go to 13. They flash an Enduring Curiosity. So they're just completely tapping out. Okay. You got it, friend. They play Watery Grave into Thoughtseize number 3. Ah, brutal. That's really, really tough here. I don't even know what to do. I mean, I can't pass. Like, this is the turn I need to go for it. So I think we begin by going to grab another card to discard to Hidden Strings. Just some sort of land. Lotus Field, I guess. We'll play Hidden Strings. Discard the Lotus Field. Alright, so we have all the mana in the world right now. I need some sort of payoff. Play another Hidden Strings. Discard Otawara. Yes, yes. I think I'm actually supposed to play the other Hidden Strings. I could play the map, which I could loot off the Hidden Strings and then go get another card to discard. And going up on cards is good, but I just think I could get choked on mana. But maybe that's silly. I could also... No, the Limb Balm is in play and I'm only playing 1, so I can't grab this to trigger Artist Talent again. Okay, Hidden Strings. We have Flow States, we have Stock Up, Pore Over the Pages, Wish, and we just bricked on everything. Okay, disappointing. We'll bring in Mystical Dispute, board down on Into the Flood Maw, and Consider. Game 2 on the play. Sure, we'll keep. We'll play the Riverglide Pathway into Expedition Map. Pass. No turn 1 play. They might have a flash creature on my end step. We'll play Otawara. Pass the turn. And now they play the Fairy Miscreant. They're leaving open a mana for like Spell Pierce here. We'll use the Expedition Map. Go grab Lotus Field. We'll play Lotus Field. Pass the turn. Land number 3. They swing. We'll play Thespian Stage and pass. They play another land. 6 cards in their hand. Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. Sure. They activate the Kaito. End step. We'll copy the Lotus Field. And now we'll see if we can make something happen. We'll play Spirebluff Canal. And Pore Over Pages. Pore Over the Pages. Untap, discard a Lotus Field. We have Sorcery in the graveyard, no instant. I'll play a Stock Up. Take Hidden Strings. And Flow State. Hidden Strings. And we'll play one of the Flow States. Take another Stock Up. Play Stock Up. We'll take Stock Up and Lindbolm. Industrial Regency. We'll play Hidden Strings. Yes, yes. And now we'll play another Stock Up, if it'll allow me. We'll take Pore Over the Pages and Vizier. Cycle Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Untap Lotus Field. We'll play Pore Over the Pages. If they have a Spell Pierce, this would be the time. And they do. We'll play Mystical Dispute. We'll untap. Discard another copy of Lotus Field. So I have Flashback here, and I can use it on Hidden Strings. My only concern is if I do that, this flow state needs to hit action. So maybe we start on the flow state, and I'll make red mana just in case, which finds Vizier and a land. Could have been better. Cycle the Vizier, we'll burn up another red mana. Untap, draw, another Flashback, okay. So we'll play Flashback on Hidden Strings. Untap, yes. Play Consider. Get rid of Into the Floodmaw. Flashback on Pore Over the Pages. Untap, we'll discard another land. And there's our Wish. Hidden Strings. Yes. We'll play Wish. And now we'll play Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. Hidden Strings. And it should be pretty easy to draw the rest of my deck here. Pore Over the Pages. Untap. 23 cards. I don't want to show them artist talent for what it's worth, because I want them to think that maybe I sided it out. So I'm going to do my best impression to draw my entire deck this game without showing them artist talent. 17 cards remain. Untap, discard another land. 14 cards. Pore Over the Pages. Untap, discard the land. 11 cards left. Play Flow State. Vizier and Otawara. We'll play Flow State again. Doesn't really matter. Another Flow State. Hidden Strings. Sure, we'll play another Flow State. And now I can play Wish into Thassa's Oracle. Okay, we have taken game number 2. Now to win game 3 on the draw. No changes on my side. Alright, the final game of this Pioneer League. We're on the draw. We've opened up lands, Lotus Field, Thespian Stage, and a bounce spell. On top of that, we have artist talent. This hand is very good. It's a little weak to Thoughtseize on the artist talent, but I don't know if there's a whole lot you can do to fix that. They play a Mockingbird. Okay. We'll play Spirebluff Canal and pass. They play a land. Sure. We draw another Mystical Dispute. I mean, those are back-to-back fairly good draws for us. Am I crazy for wanting to counter this Merfolk to slow the game down? I might be crazy. I think they're going to just try to aggro me out this game, and if I can buy time, I think it makes sense. Now they attack with the Mockingbird. Here's Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. Currently has Hexproof. Okay. We'll play Thespian Stage. Play the artist talent. And then I think we want to bounce the Kaito here, just to slow them down a little bit. They still get the fish, which is a little annoying, but not the end of the world. Discard a land. Sheoldred the Apocalypse. I still have the Otawara, so this is not the end of the world. I'm at 15. I go to 13. We'll play Lotus Field. Copy it. And pass. They gain 2 life. They'll attack for 5. I go to 8. Oh, I'm sorry, they can Kaito here. So I'm at 6. On my draw, I'll go down to 4. And then we need to find a way to win from there. And they could have counter magic too. Mystical Dispute was not a good draw. So next turn they have lethal because they can just plus the Kaito and then swing for 4, even if I bounce the Sheoldred. So I'm highly incentivized to try to win right now. So step 1, we will Otawara on the Sheoldred, cycle the Vizier, and I'm really hoping to draw into more mana here, like Hidden Strings. That was not it. I think I have to Flow State. Flow State would only be for 1 card type because I only have instant in the graveyard. So maybe I'm supposed to try to get lucky and hit Hidden Strings off of Consider. We'll discard a Mystical Dispute. Vizier's not bad. That's actually a good draw. We'll get rid of the Lindblom. Okay, come on, Hidden Strings. Pretty please. Draw. Nope. We're probably dead. Play Thespian Stage. And Flow State. Discard the land. Wish doesn't help here. We find Hidden Strings. Okay. Does this resolve? I don't think I'm actually allowed to discard the Mystical Dispute here. Oh, I forgot it wasn't reduced. So I should have discarded the Mystical Dispute. That's my bad. Whoops, I might have just punted. I needed to discard the Mystical Dispute. For some reason, I was like, oh, I need it in case they try to counter the Hidden Strings, which isn't even a possibility. Ah, Bryant. We'll play Wish. Discard the Mystical Dispute. And I would have had a Flashback? Oh, no. Maybe I was able to get this. We'll bounce the Kaito. But I think I need to keep the Flashback to answer the Sheoldred next turn. Pass the turn. They replay the Shield Red, Vizier, okay. So I am still capable of winning this game. We'll make red, flashback, target, boomerang basics. No. We'll bounce the Shield Red. So there's a small chance that I win here. And it's mostly that if I cycle this Vizier and then hit Pore Over the Pages, untap Lotus Field, draw, Thespian stage is not good enough. Okay, this one might have been on me. The no discard 2 Mystical Dispute, because in my head I was like, oh, I need this Mystical Dispute to hit their spell Pierce. And in reality, my spell wasn't reduced, so I couldn't cast the Mystical Dispute anyway. So this league was a 2-3, but it should have probably been a 3-2. So, the losses. You could argue that both of them were on me. And you know what? Sure. I would probably keep those hands all over again, to be honest with you. If you told me in the league I would have faced the Boros deck, I would have guessed that I probably would have lost. For both versions of Lotus Field, that's a very tough matchup. But I think the Golgari deck was the disappointing loss, if I'm being honest with you, because this deck should beat that deck. But unfortunately, the games just didn't play out that way. Ultimately, this list is a lot of fun. I think that it's fine. I think right now, if I had to play a Pioneer event tomorrow, I would probably lean on maybe the green list, just because you have so many ways to find Lotus Field. And the nice thing about that build is that less of your cards are dead. And like, Wish feels like a useless card a lot of the time, unless you're actually winning the game. Into the Floodmaw, it doesn't help you win the game. It helps you not lose the game. Where everything in the green build gets you ahead. The one upside of this build is that Shield Dread the Apocalypse is easily answerable between Otawara, Into the Floodmaw, all that stuff. The green build really leans on Vibrance, which doesn't kill Shield Dread. So that's sort of an issue. That said, I feel like the green build is probably better versus the field, but I might be wrong on that one. I don't play a ton of Pioneer these days. But hopefully you enjoyed the list featuring Flow State, Flashback, and Stock Up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, keep storming. Thank you for checking out today's video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. But in our description, you'll find a link to our Discord where you can talk about the deck with other like-minded individuals of varying skill types. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or an expert, there's people there looking to talk combo. Join our Discord.